Hey everyone, Owlvine here. Long time no see. How are you all? What's the goss? What's been going on? While you're writing out your responses, let's talk about auras. Aura, as defined by Google, is the distinctive atmosphere or quality that seems to surround and be generated by a person, thing, or place. So this got me thinking a little bit about the whole aura topic. When I first read this topic, to me what came to mind when I heard aura, or when I hear aura, is that colour, that surrounds people. We often hear about others talking about the colours of people's auras and seeing auras and this kind of thing. So if someone has the gift or skill of clairvoyance, which is seeing, then they would, likely be able to see auras and that kind of thing. But there are other ways that we can sense auras too. There is clairaudience as well, so hearing something. I don't know much about clairaudience myself because I'm not a hearer. Clairsentience, so sensing things kinesthetically or feeling, that's my strong point. That's the way I experience the world mostly, but particularly in this case in terms of energy and energy fields, auras, that kind of thing. I definitely have a sense about them, a feeling about them. So there are all these different ways, and there are other ways as well that you can connect with others' energy fields or auras in a conscious way, because we all do it unconsciously. Everything has an energy field, everyone has an energy field, and we are interacting with those all of the time. But to do it consciously, with one of the clairs is what we often hear about. I'm sorry, I have this fly buzzing around my room. I've been putting off this video and cutting it up because I'm trying to film when the fly's not buzzing, but it's still there. I'm really sorry, but it's just gonna have to happen, otherwise I'm never gonna get this video filmed. So those are the different ways that we can sense them. There's quite a good article I found about auras and energetic fields, so I will link that down below, so do check that out. It's quite short, but has some interesting sort of points in there. So the way I use auras in my practice is I think about them as energetic fields, so I don't use the word aura myself, just because to me it brings to mind that visual aspect. Not that that's necessarily the case, I just prefer the word energy field, so that's what I use. So I use them when I'm working with people in a healing sense, in an energetic healing sense. I'll sort of tap into that energy field. So for example, I've done this with my son probably the most out of anyone, but there was one time where he just couldn't get to sleep. He was having all these bad thoughts. He calls them nightmares, but he wasn't asleep. It was just his mind going, and him feeling, whatever it was. So what I do is I get him to, lay down in bed as he is to go to sleep, and I actually run my hands through his energetic field, and I'm focusing at that time on taking away any negativity, discomfort, bad feelings, that kind of stuff. I take that away from his energy field, and then what I do is I project into his energy field. So for me, when I'm projecting an energy, I usually do see it. So I don't receive visually, but I project visually, if that makes sense. So I project a color around him, whatever color it is that corresponds to what I feel he needs at the time and what that color means to me. So, a lot of people are like, oh, I've seen this person's aura, or whatever, and it's this particular color, what does that mean? I think we need to be careful in magic, or in anything really. It's good to find out what other people's correspondences are, what common correspondences are, but it's the same with dreams. They're very much it's personal symbology. So the color gold, for example, may mean something very different to you than it does to me, and it certainly meant something very different to people living hundreds of years ago than it does to us now. So looking into your kind of personal symbology and what different colours or symbols mean to you is quite good for this fly, is quite helpful when you're wanting to work with energies or doing any healing work, that kind of thing. So for me in this particular case, I projected a gold colour around my sun. So I saw that sort of sitting sort of like that far above him, I guess. You know, not too far, just sort of around him, but encasing him in this golden light. And within that light, I was projecting calmness, peace, sleep, relaxation. And every time I've done this for him, because there's been a few times that I've done this particular healing work, I suppose, or energetic work, it's worked really well. You know, like he's pretty quickly fallen asleep. Another thing I do when I'm to project is using an object. So I do this often with my car. So when I'm driving in my car, I place protection around my car, and I see that as a blue light. So again, to me, if I'm ever going out to my car, I don't see any kind of energetic field, but I do project that around my car, and it's usually when I'm already in the car. Actually, I think every single time it's been when I'm already in the car driving. So I project that blue light around the car, which for me in that instance is a protection. And then depending on what's going on at the time, I may also project a golden light, and that one seems to travel out further, and that's more of a repellent. So, you know, repelling, you know, other cars or law enforcement. In terms of when I'm working with my own energetic field, my own aura, what I do when I'm performing any kind of conscious magic is I always center. So I focus on bringing in all my energy, because, you know, sometimes we can have little energetic tendrils going all over the place and we're all, so I bring them all in, and then I ground. So I connect myself to the earth to manifest reality. And I've also started connecting upwards as well sometimes, so sort of with that divine force. And then what I do is I push out my energetic field. Usually when it's myself, I don't see a colour. When I started doing this work, I did see a blue, and, you know, I'd sort of create a bubble around myself. But since really focusing on projecting it within to without, now it's just a feeling. You know, I can just feel my energetic field expanding. And this is a similar concept to, you know, casting circle and kind of creating that energetic space. I don't cast circle myself, that's what I do. So I just project my energetic field, you know, and to me that boosts my inner power and my feeling of claiming space. And then I'll perform whatever magic it is that, you know, I'm going to be doing. So those are some ways that I use auras or energetic field. And usually, just as a side note, aura seems to particularly mean a human energetic field, even though in the Google sense it was people, place or thing. Most people, I think, when they talk about auras, they're talking about a human energetic field. That's just some thoughts and stuff there on auras. Do check out the link down below. Like I said, it's quite a good little article, quite interesting if you are wanting to learn a little bit more about auras or energetic fields. If you are, I also recommend checking out the other videos from this week on the channel, because everyone has something different to say, and I've certainly learnt a few things already from other people who've put up videos too. So do check those out. It's been really nice chatting with you guys again, and I will see you next week on Starting Out Solitary. So much love.